War rages across the mortal realms. New alliances are formed while others lie shattered, and the dominant powers ever seek their next conquest. The forces of chaos look to subjugate the realms, though the bastions of order stand firm to protect them. While this and countless other battles rage on, one fact is becoming clear. The season of war has begun.
Hello and welcome to Season of War! Excited to bring you guys another epic match of Age of Sigmar. This time, Carl, you finally brought out your Nurgle.
Yes, I guess the first time,
Yeah,
right?
You've been playing them a ton at events, but first time having them on the channel. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this game goes. I haven't tested them against Lumineth before. Our premium members did vote for this matchup, choosing for me to play the Lumineth here. It was really close between Lumineth and Deepkin. Would have been happy to play either. Yeah. I haven't brought these guys out in a very kind of competitive setting in a while, so I'm excited to actually just test Lumineth, see how kind of they'll hold up. Yeah, exactly. But just before we get into things, I want to give a couple quick shout outs. We're using our printable scenery terrain here. And then always want to give a big mention to our FLGS Partners, X-Planet up here in Canada. And then if you're in the US, you can check out Warpfire Minis. Both great stores, great communities, run events, awesome web stores if you want to buy stuff online. So definitely check them out. And then also want to give a huge shout out to all our premium members who are the backbone of the channel, supporting us, making it all possible to create the content that we do. So appreciate everyone that watches and supports us. If you want to go a step further, check out our premium membership and you'll get access to like 40 AOS 3 battle reports that we've done for our premium members, a new one every week, and then private Discord, bunch of emojis and other fun things, and then voting on matches and all that. So lots of perks if you want to help support the channel. We really appreciate it. And otherwise, let's jump into the game. The mission we're playing is Savage Gains, so pretty standard one. Everyone knows this by now. Hopefully the objectives in the center are worth 2 points each. And then your home one is worth 1, and your opponent's home one is worth 4 for you. So potentially big scoring on this mission, depending on how it goes. But then onto the match. This is obviously going to be a big one here. It started before we even deployed because we were both one drops. Yeah, we had to roll to see who dropped first. You won the roll here, Carl. Let you choose sides and drop first. Let me counter deploy in a way, so that may help me out.
Yep, but I do have choice. And
yes.
With the pre-game move before choosing, I had a lot of information that I had prior to my deployment and how I'm going to play the scenario.
Yeah. Well, first off, why don't you take us through your list?
Yeah, that's the thing. So my list is, for those of you who are going to be, well, I guess once this releases, it'll probably be after the US Open San Diego. So I am actually taking this list to the Open. So this is kind of its maiden voyage in a more competitive setting. I've tested it out before. So it includes Be'lakor, who's very, very good for its control aspect. And our Be'lakor, of course, is painted by the fabulous Gravehammer.
Yes, sir.
So shout out to him for getting this beautiful model to us. A Lord of Afflictions who has the overpowering stench. So for those of you who don't know, if you're within 7, you can't issue command abilities. If the unit is wholly within 7, you can't
issue or receive.
You can't issue or receive. So it's going to be key in shutting down Inspiring Presence, all out defense, all out attack. So look out for that. I have a different loadout than most people. I have Arcane Tome on the Lord of Afflictions with the spell Rancid Visitations, which is basically a very, very good horde killing spell, but it's quite close range. Yeah.
So he's pretty aggressive, right?
Correct. Yeah, he's usually screened by flies anyway. So if an opponent has a unit that's large that wants to get into the flies, then you can hit back with the Rancid Visitations. And with some of those meta armies coming up right now, Night Haunt, Daughters of Cain, Rats in the future, that spell I think is going to be very, very key in how you play Nurgle. But other than that, it's pretty standard. 4 flies, 2 flies, 2 flies, and then 2 times 5 Blight Kings. I didn't go full fly spam. I have a little bit more bodies on the table. They're great at holding objectives and that sort of thing.
Super resilient.
And still super punchy too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and then on the Lumineth side, I'm playing Zytrek today, so I really wanted to go for a very traditional Lumineth list. Again, haven't really played these guys too much in a competitive sense recently, so I just want to, again, against one of the newer books, get a good baseline for these guys, so try the core stuff that I used to run. So we got Techless, 2 units of 20 Wardens here, and a unit of 20 Sentinels. Now, trying these numbers, obviously the Wardens, we all know they're strong. Less Sentinels than you would typically run, but that's because I've opted to drop 10 Sentinels so I could take 2 Endless spells. The Emerald Life Swarm, which is amazing at just recursion, obviously, and then Umbral Spell Portal, giving me a little more utility with Techless and spellcasting and whatnot. So, hope to make use of both of those, and then obviously be worth their points. Otherwise, though, in the list, my 5th and only other hero, or 5th unit and only other hero is a Cathalar. So up in the shrine right now.
Saddest lady. Yeah,
just a key unit in a lot of ways. With actually the bravery shenanigans in a lot of armies, that is a concern for Lumineth, especially when I have 3 large blocks. So Inspiring Presence is an option. I do have spells to make myself immune to Battle Shock that we saw me use previously against Nighthaunt effectively. And I also here I'm 1935 points. Coming
1950, which is also low.
Yeah, so at 35, I did take the Triumph for the immunity to Battle Shock. So even if you can shut off CP or something, that does give me kind of a fallback.
For sure.
So that will be a great one here, especially when I have potentially 3 big units that could all be taking damage and losing casualties. So hopefully I won't have too many big Battle Shocks with all those redundancies. And obviously Techless at 740 points needs to carry a lot of weight as well.
For sure.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, you did win the roll-off, so you got to drop first.
Yeah.
Giving you the choice here.
Yeah. So I do have, just to mention, a pregame move prior, but we'll do that all off camera.
Yeah.
I will give you the first turn.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, we'll do jump into Lumineth turn, but start off with the Nurgle pregame move.
Sure.
All right, let's get into it.
The cycle of corruption starts at Nauseous Revulsion. The Lumineth battle tactic is Monstrous Takeover. Techless fails heroic leadership, but the Lord of Affliction succeeds. Be'lakor uses the Dark Master on Techless, who is unable to cast in the hero phase. The Cathalar uses an Aether Quartz for magical insight. Both units of Wardens cast Power of Hysh, but are unbound. The Sentinels cast Power of Hysh. The Cathalar cast the Umbral Spell Portal. The Cathalar cast Laminate Light on the Blight Lords. The Blight Lords use all at defense. The Sentinels use all at attack from the Shrine Guardian and deal 7 damage to the Blight Lords. The Lumineth holds 2 objectives and complete their battle tactic for 5 points.
Alright, so Lumineth turn 1, and give me first, obviously not a ton I'm doing, I'm not leveraging combat or anything, but the big plays here, big moves here, are you not only give me first, but you Be'lakor Techless turn 1, so obviously trying to get that double, trying to get into my Wardens and stuff before my ward saves are up.
Correct.
So trying to, chewing through stuff. So I tried to play fairly conservatively. I don't want to get tied up in my battlefield though over here, so I did push this objective, so at least I'll be contesting that and be able to fight for it throughout the game. Over here though, I have Techless just on the edge of the objective and the Wardens pulled back so that, again, even on the double, you're probably only getting in on the second turn. So it's not 2 full turns in there if you win priority. So trying to, this is always the game with Lumineth is like, okay, you got a castle for a certain amount of time. and try and deal with threats. I did get Lambent Light off through Spell Portal onto a unit of 2 Pustoils, and only 20 Sentinels, 10 mortal wounds with Lambent Light is pretty average. Obviously the 5 up ward saves made a couple, so didn't take down a bug, but working on them, and they'll probably go down at some point. And that's pretty much it. Again, quick Lumineth turn. I hold the one side objective, my home one, and did my battle tactic for 5 points. That's pretty much where we're at right now. And with that, we can just jump into Nurgle turn 1.
The Nurgle battle tactic is aggressive expansion. Be'lakor fails heroic leadership, but the Cathalar succeeds. Nurgle generates 5 contagion points. The Cathalar dispels the Umbral Spell Portal. Be'lakor casts Mystic Shield on the Blight Kings. The Lord of Afflictions casts Arcane Bolt, but is unbound. The Blight Kings use At the Double. The Wardens redeploy from the Shrine Guardian, moving 6 inches. Be'lakor uses Forward to Victory and makes his charge. Be'lakor fails to roar. The High Warden misses with a Moonfire Flask. The Wardens use All Out Defense and an Aether Quartz for heightened reflexes, and the Blight Lords deal 2 damage to the Wardens. The Wardens deal 4 damage to Be'lakor and 1 to the Blight Lords. Be'lakor uses All-Out Attack and deals 4 damage to the Wardens. The Cathalar uses Emotional Transference on the Wardens. Nurgle holds 3 objectives and completes a battle tactic for 7 points.
Okay, Nurgle turn 2. So I mean,
turn 1.
Oh yeah, Nurgle turn 1. So you know, I blunted your first turn quite effectively with Be'lakor. I don't know if that's the right choice in the grand scheme of things, because a double turn.
If you win the double, I think it was probably a good choice.
Yeah, if I don't, then it was probably a bad choice. But that's how I play. I play very aggressively. But again, because you had to play conservatively on your first turn, meant that I could probably control both middle points and get ahead on scoring. Because you did so much damage to the flies, I didn't throw them in, just so that...
Because Unleash Hell, you would have had to end within 3, and
then Lambent Light, it would have been disastrous. I think you would have probably...
Killed one for sure, potentially both on
exactly.
a spike.
Exactly. So now that you're tagged from the 2 unit of flies, I can safely, if again, all this hinges on me winning a priority roll. And Jordan's track record is the one that he does lose the priority roll.
Well, I'm rolling the Warfire dice tonight. And in our last game, Ridge won every priority with the Warfire dice.
Okay.
So this might be my saving grace.
With that being said, on my left flank, the 4 flies are just getting ready to jump onto that home point if I do win the priority. Like I said, my whole plan has now hinged on this priority roll, and I don't know if that was the smartest move. I could have played a more conservative game.
If you do, though, it just lets me attrition you slowly, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Where
So yeah, I think we'll just go to it. I think it's summarized by if this priority goes my way, I look like a genius. If I don't, people might comment that.
I think even if you lose it though, you're in a good spot. Again, getting in before the ward saves up is huge for you killed half the unit of wardens already.
I did forget to roll my disease, so I'll just do that.
Yep.
So it will be 5 at the end.
Yep.
4 ups, just 1.
Just 1 mortal wound. Okay, one more gentle elf.
Gentle elf. They are not gentle. They are a murderous people who said no to their brothers.
Oh god, all the spears are stuck. But yeah, you will have one also actually on the sentinels because they're in combat.
And that will go off.
Okay. So, now we can jump into priority. Let's do it.
Rolling the tough crowd dice.
3,
5.
okay.
I'm a genius. All right, we'll go ahead and go into Nurgle turn 2.
Sounds good.
The cycle of corruption moves to rampant disease. The Nurgle battle tactic is monstrous takeover. The Lord of Afflictions and Cathalar both use heroic leadership. Nurgle generates 2 contagion points. Bellicor casts Enfeeble Foe, but is unbound. Bellicor fails to cast Mystic Shield. The Lord of Afflictions casts Arcane Bolt, but is unbound. The Wardens redeploy from the Shrine Guardian, moving 3 inches. The Blight Lords deal 3 mortal wounds to the Wardens on impact. The Blight Lords use Forward to Victory, but fail their charge. The Wardens use All Out Defense. The Blight Kings use All Out Attack, dealing 4 damage to the Wardens and 1 to the Sentinels. The Wardens deal 3 damage to the Blight Lords. The Blight Lords deal 1 damage to the Wardens. The Blight Kings deal 2 mortal wounds to the Sentinels and 1 mortal wound to the Wardens from relentless attackers. The Blight Lord uses Inspiring Presence. The Cathalar uses Emotional Transference on the Sentinels. Nurgle holds 3 objectives and completes their battle tactic for 7 points.
So Nurgle turn 2. Like I said in the previous round review, if I took second turn and won the prio, I would look like a genius. And
you're in a good spot.
I am in a good spot. With Nurgle, you kind of want to net your opponent, pin them in their deployment zone. And because Lumineth wants the castle so hard as their game plan, it kind of leans into what your strengths are as an army. So, with 2 of the middle points firmly in my control, I wanted to throw the 4 Puscoils forward to try to threaten your home objectives. Now, they didn't make the charge, which is very sad in the grand scheme of things. But in the grand scheme of things, they're still in a threatening position.
It's almost better, right? Because they didn't take any damage. You would have had to activate one place or the other first.
Yeah, so it does mean that you have to leave some sort of force to...
I have to deal with them one way or another,
Yeah, and 4 Puscoils are very, very difficult to deal with. With that being said, we learned some few things about Battle Shock, Faye.
Just interactions here, yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I've cleared out 6 Sentinels, so their output has now kind of waned. They're in combat, so you might have to spend a spell to teleport them out. And because I'm so spread out on the board, there's not really any good spots to try to take objectives off of me. But as much of a genius as I am, I nudged my Blight Kings forward and didn't generate 3.
Yeah, so you weren't totally within your own territory.
Yeah. So just be aware of that if you're playing Nurgle. But with that being said,
and worth noting, just talking about that interaction with emotional transference, so happens at the start of the battle shock phase of like making a unit immune on a 2-up from the Cathlar and then passing off their casualties. The big thing here is being at the start of the phase, you still do all your start of phase first, which includes using Inspiring Presence is at the start of the battle shock phase. So you had to use Inspiring Presence preemptively on that 1+ droil who had taken 1 casualty, because I had on a 2-up the capacity to pass 6 bodies or
and it would have been 7. I'm bravery 8, so
on a 2-up that second one would have ran, which would have been huge for me. But not getting it, and really I think the painful thing here, the biggest thing, now losing that Warden unit, they were almost alive with, it was your disease that finished them off by a few extra wounds, but that's the weakness of the double for me, or the pain of losing that first drop, is like I need a chance to recur models with Life Swarm or Rally or whatever, and not having my buffs up.
5 up 4.
Exactly.
Especially against me, because I was just chipping you for 2 or 3 damage.
And that's where exactly taking first or giving away first, doing the Bellator thing to survive or get through it, and not getting that ward up. You made a play, and it's paying off right now. But we are not out yet, so we'll keep on fighting. Only 290 points down, and a couple Sentinels, but we're gonna keep fighting and jump into Lumineth Realm Lords, turn 2.
The Lumineth battle tactic is Conquer. Teclis uses their finest hour, and Be'lakor fails heroic recovery. Teclis casts Emerald Lifeswarm, returning 2 Sentinels. Teclis casts Protection of Teclis. The Cathalar casts Laminate Light, but is unbound. The Wardens cast Power of Hysh. The Sentinels cast Power of Hysh. Teclis casts Transporting Vortex on the Sentinels. Teclis casts Speed of Hysh on himself. The Lord of Afflictions uses Redeploy, moving 3 inches. Teclis deals 2 damage to the Lord of Afflictions. The Sentinels deal 4 damage to the Blight Lords. Teclis fails his Stomp. The Wardens use all-out attack and deal 7 damage to the Blight Lords. Teclis uses Heightened Reflexes and deals 7 damage to the Blight Lords. The Blight Lords deal 3 damage to Teclis and 4 damage to the Wardens. The Blight Lords deal 2 mortal wounds to the Wardens with Relentless Attackers. The Cathalar uses Emotional Transference on the Wardens, and the Blight Lords flee from Battle Shock. The Sentinels use Inspiring Presence. The Lumineth hold 2 objectives and complete their battle tactic for 5 points.
All right, Lumineth, turn 2. Pretty effective turn. The big thing always is like, do you roll any unbinds on any of my critical spells?
Yep.
And here you didn't, obviously no pluses, so you're just fishing for 11s and 12s.
Yep.
I got off all the spells I needed to, for the most part, so nothing too critical. Big thing, again, you were bringing all your power down over here into this kind of corner. So I ran away to this corner. Speed of Fish on Techless so that he could flow around, charge, get onto the objective. I was pretty light on my battle tactic options. Now I could have done broken ranks, but I knew that was like, you could have survived with 1 or 2 guys left.
If I made more optimal choices.
Yeah, depending on CP and everything. But so teleported the Sentinels out so they were free to shoot. They just started chipping down, didn't do much damage here. You unbound Lambent Light, which was a key spell to unbind. And yeah, I just really, again, I can't deal, I want to deal with it one thing at a time. You want to overwhelm me and I have to not be overwhelmed, basically. So this relocating allowed me to be a little more safe right now. I would love priority, would I? Yeah, priority.
It's a difficult choice for both of us, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because we're so overloaded on each end. Now, you do have teleportation,
but you can just consolidate.
Yeah, I have pretty good speed.
Yeah.
Averagely, more speed averagely than you do, but you do have the teleportation.
Yeah, because we're obviously talking about the burn in here could be big.
Yeah. And me jumping out in points could potentially be the deciding factor there. So
yes, sir. So we will jump into priority. I don't think either of us really want the decision.
No. 4?
6. Those Warfire dice. I think I'm going to give you the turn, Carl.
All right.
And I will then burn this objective.
Yep.
And hope that was the right decision. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll go into Nurgle. Turn 3. Yes, sir.
The cycle of corruption moves to corrupted regrowth. The Nurgle battle tactic is Slay the Warlord. Be'lakor uses heroic leadership and Teclis heals 2 wounds with heroic recovery. Nurgle generates 5 contagion points. Be'lakor fails to cast Enfeeble Foe. Be'lakor casts Mystic Shield but is unbound. The Lord of Afflictions casts Arcane Bolt but is unbound. The Cathalar redeploys, moving 3 inches. The Nurgle Force summons a Beast of Nurgle. The Lord of Afflictions deals 2 mortal wounds to the Wardens on impact. The Beast of Nurgle deals 1 mortal wound on impact. Be'lakor stomps, but deals no damage. The Wardens use heightened reflexes, and the Lord of Affliction deals 1 damage to them. The Wardens deal 8 damage to Be'lakor. Be'lakor uses all-out attack and kills the Cathalar. The Blightlord deals 1 damage to the Wardens. The Beast of Nurgle deals 1 damage to the Wardens. The Nurgle hold 2 objectives and complete their battle tactic with a monster for 8 points.
All right, Nurgle turn. I had to make, because of my stupidity with the Blight Kings earlier on in the game, I didn't generate 3, so I was 1 off from summoning 10 Plague Bears, which
I think the Beast was valuable here in the end because he made his charge.
It was valuable there. It did mean that I had to go for Slay the Warlord, which meant I needed to rely on 9 and 10 inch charges, which you didn't want to do. I was measuring on the side point. If I had the 14, I would have just summoned 10 Plague Bears to just Conqueror, which would have been automatic, because I don't even need to move the Lord of Afflictions to do so. But, I mean, it did end up working out in the end. it's one of those things where I look like a genius because of my rolling sometimes.
Yeah.
I did end up killing the Cathlar, who's been a big pain in my butt, losing flies basically, just from her ability.
Barely though, she does have the 4 board.
She did have the 4 board.
Yeah.
Belcourt did have to jump in and kill her.
You killed her exactly to the damage though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that means he is severely hurt.
Because the wardens went into him, yeah.
Yeah, he hates mortals if he's not in Legion. But it did mean because I'm so aggressive into the middle point, now I took your home objectives. Now, you have an interesting decision on your turn, whether or not you pivot backwards, take the point, your home point back from me, or be aggressive towards my own home point and take it from there.
I got
or
options.
Both.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah, definitely lots of options here. But you do have a lot of pressure, not only the stuff in combat right now, but you got more bards coming.
Moving coming in.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, so we'll go into Lumineth turn 3.
Yes, we will.
The Lumineth battle tactic is Bring It Down. Teclis uses Heroic Recovery, and the Lord of Afflictions fails Heroic Leadership. Teclis casts Storm of Searing White Light, dealing 5 damage in total. The Sentinels cast Power of Hish. The Wardens cast Power of Hish, but is unbound. Teclis casts Protection of Teclis. Teclis casts Laminate Light on the Lord of Afflictions. Teclis casts Emerald Lifeswarm, returning 2 Wardens, then 1 more at the end of the hero phase. Teclis deals no damage. The Sentinels deal 5 damage to the Lord of Afflictions. Teclis stomps, killing the Lord of Afflictions. The Wardens kill Belcourt and deal 3 damage to the Beast of Nurgle. Teclis uses All-Out Attack and finishes off the Beast of Nurgle. Lumineth hold 2 objectives, kill a monster and priority target, and complete their battle tactic for 7 points.
Alright, Lumineth turn 3. Again, bit of a gamble giving you the turn there. And it didn't quite do things how I wanted. Basically, I wanted the monster point with Teclis. Yeah. I knew I had good, well, Sword of Searing White Light, I had to reroll because it was barely cocked, should have finished him off. Missed my shot on the wound. Yeah. My flash to finish Belcourt off was super risky, so I had to split attacks and then put Teclis in to kill the beast, leaving this guy out of combat, which isn't the worst because I have broken ranks.
Later on.
Yeah, on a prio. So it's not, I'm in a good, not a good spot. I'm still down 5 points.
Yep.
And I unfortunately had to kill your general here, so I won't get Slay the Warlord with a bonus point later, which is what I was hoping. But again, just the way things worked out position-wise, I couldn't really. I could leave him there, but what's the point?
Also, you just try to take as much advantage as possible, pretty much here. So.
Yeah, and so a big turn for me because Belcourt was a monster and prime target.
Prime target, yeah.
Or priority target, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, into priority again.
Turn 4. Let's see if we can win one. 4.
4, you win ties.
I will take it.
Okay.
I think I have to. There's no 2 ways about it.
Yeah, I would agree.
You not being in combat is kind of the biggest deciding factor because now you're free to operate if I give you your turn. So I will take the turn.
Sounds good. Go into Nurgle, turn 4.
The cycle of corruption moves to Unnatural Vitality. The Nurgle battle tactic is Conquer. Teclis uses Heroic Recovery, healing 3 wounds. Nurgle generates seven. The fuck? Nurgle generates 9 contagion points. Nurgle summons Sloppity Bile Piper. The Blight Lords deal 1 mortal wound to the Wardens on impact. Teclis roars at the Blight Kings. The Wardens use all-out defense, and the Blight Lord deals 1 damage to the Wardens. The Wardens deal 2 damage to the Blight Kings and 1 damage to the Blight Lords. Teclis deals 1 damage to the Blight Kings. The Blight Lords use all-out attack and deal 4 damage to the Wardens. The Blight Kings deal no damage to the Wardens and 2 damage to Teclis. The Nurgle units deal 6 mortal wounds from relentless attackers, and the disease points finish off the Wardens. Nurgle holds 2 objectives and complete their battle tactic for 7 points.
So I was able to get most of my flies in, my Blight Kings, and what Nurgle does best, chip damage, mortal wounds here, mortal wounds there. And I was able to kill the Wardens, which I was pleasantly surprised by.
Yeah, I'm very shocked.
Well, we were talking about the relentless attacker rule, which a lot of people forget part of anything that has the Blight King, thing on them, and it's good at chipping down
single wound,
3 wounds and less. Yeah,
it's like that literally killed 7 Wardens with just that.
Yep. And it takes the point, which means, and I'm touching Teclis, so I think I'm in a very good spot.
I think, I was expecting again when I had those 7 Wardens left, it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep the point, or whatever, 8, whatever were left before the, it was 9 before the
disease. Attackers and
but
disease,
man, I was like, okay, I'll keep the point, deny your battle tactic. Feeling like I would have a good shot still, but that's, I think, going to seal it probably, but we'll keep fighting.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he did your battle tactic. 5 points. So that's going to be 7.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to put it out of reach, but we're going to keep fighting. Jump into Lumineth, turn 4.
The Lumineth battle tactic is Broken Ranks. Teclis uses heroic leadership and the Sloppity Bile Piper. I can't fucking say it. I can't. Teclis casts Laminate Light on the Blight Kings. Teclis casts Storm of Searing White Light, dealing 7 damage in total. Teclis casts Protection of Teclis. Teclis casts Mystic Shield on himself. The Sentinels cast Power of Hish. The Sentinels deal 5 damage to the Blight Kings. Teclis does no damage. Wah wah. Teclis stomps but does no damage. Teclis uses all-out attack and deals 6 damage to the Blight Lord. The Blight Kings deal no damage. The Blight Lords deal 3 damage to Teclis. The Lumineth hold 1 objective and complete their battle tactic with a monster for 5 points.
Alright, again, knew I was in a bad spot, and honestly just needed more damage out of the Sentinels. Needed to take out a couple more of the Blight Kings in general, so, whatever. Just try and do as much damage to all this stuff here, so I could take that objective back, because I have no other bodies, and there's 4 bodies there, so we had to basically take out the Blight Kings. Yep. Didn't do it, so I won't take my home objective back. It's only a 1 point difference for me, but I pretty much kind of have to make a last-ditch effort at Prio, and then
try to eliminate as much as possible.
But I do have 5 points, 2 for this, and then 3 for the battle tactic with a monster.
Yep.
So 5 points, but I'm just down just a lot unless I win Pyro here and can make a big play. But priority first.
It's a 5.
That's a 1.
And I think I will take it to try to seal it.
Yeah, I think we can talk it out. It would been I would have had some plays, or it would have been interesting to see if I could do anything with Pyro, but you just retreat out, hold this objective. You're getting 4.
Correct.
5 points, and you could do Savage Spearhead.
Correct.
Potentially. Actually, not. They're too slow.
Those are. Oh no, it's 1 unit there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a battle tactic for me to do, but the 4 points is massive.
Yeah. Or 4 points here, and then 1. So 5 points. On your turn.
Yep.
I assume you're broken ranks or hold the line. Sorry, for battle grand strategy.
Correct.
I was prize sorcery, so I'll get that. I could make a play on the final turn for your home objective.
You definitely can do that, yeah.
And just to talk things out quickly, potentially I'm getting, cast speed of Hish there, throw a Teclis in there after you retreat out, and shoot them. I think I would be able to take all 3 objectives.
Actually on my turn I would actually summon 10 Plague Bears here.
Cool.
To try to shore it up as much
I
as
probably don't take it then unless I charge the Sentinels too. But let's say realistically, if I threw in everything, who knows? That's too much of a crapshoot.
Even if you did take this, it would be 4.
Well, it's just for a total. I'm not coming back or anything.
Correct. Yeah.
But at most, it's going to be at very most, it's going to be 9. A 5, 6, 7, 9 point turn. At the absolute most, which is big. But again, I think just with the order of those last couple prios, I needed to do that and then get to the advantage to deny you scoring, where I never got the advantage. The 1 turn I got the prio, I had to give it away.
Yep. I think ultimately that was the right choice because I couldn't bring my forces to bear on that turn. I had to rely on huge charges.
And unfortunately you did get it, because if Be'lakor made a 10, so this is the game, I got 9 points here, you're getting your grand strategy, I'm getting my grand strategy. Whatever the score you see over there is the score. And it's going to be a Nurgle win.
Yes.
Now, to look at the game, we were talking about that turn 3, when I gave it away to try and take an advantage in storing.
Correct.
It wasn't paying off that turn, but if I had have won prio, I think it would have paid off. It would let me consolidate where I never had a chance, right? Start killing stuff. But Be'lakor made a 10-inch charge to get into the Cathlar.
To get an extra monster point.
Well,
to take that point from you to...
Yeah, I don't know, like, it's Be'lakor I felt it had a much better chance at killing Cathlar.
Yeah.
It would have been dicey if it was just the pus oil there.
But yeah, I don't believe he could have.
Yeah, it would have been dicey with the 4-up ward on the Cathlar.
Correct, yeah.
So that was unfortunate.
Sometimes just happens in this game.
Nothing you can do about that.
And I needed 10 and I got exactly what I needed. Not anything more, not anything less. Which is sometimes you just gotta pray for the dice gods. Kind of overall in terms of the game and kind of my decision making in the game, I should have probably taken first turn because you deployed semi-aggressively with pretty much your whole entire army. With 16-inch move, I'm looking at a 6-inch charge to get into your deployment zone and pin you there, and then Be'lakor on a double to prevent Teclis to cast spells for 2 turns is potentially huge. But like I said, if I won the priority into 2, my whole game plan worked.
Come together.
Because it would be pretty much the exact same, where I nullify your turn 1, and then nullifying your turn 2 too, because you didn't have protection of Teclis for 2 whole turns of my output.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it was tough here, and just the strength of Nurgle we saw, right? Against an army that doesn't have the speed.
Yeah.
I do have some teleporting, as we saw. I was able to redeploy and reposition.
Or massive multi-damage. Something you don't possess either. You're a scalpel, not a hammer. And scalpels, again, the mortal wounds I'm ignoring a third of them, just generally because of just being Nurgle. And to be fair though, I was impressed with Lumineth. I was able to compete in here. Now, points wise, I think because the order of prio is basically being on the back foot all game,
I didn't get a story advantage, so I think with a little difference there, or the opportunity to not only like sustain myself, but then turn around, exactly get the double and hit
set
back.
Up a turn and then
exactly.
execute on the next turn.
Yeah, I think that would have been big. But yeah, I just didn't get that opportunity, but managed to keep it close. So I think I'm was content with that based on the matchup. I know. Well, that's all good.
And then there's there's going to be a small section of you guys who say, oh well, if you didn't have enough output, why didn't you take more Sentinels? Wardens do a lot more.
Yeah.
30 Sentinels is still very good, and it's a long range threat, but I don't think that would have
big investment.
Yeah, I don't think that would have made very much difference for those of you who are thinking that way.
Yeah. I think going the 20 block and then 2x10s on the Wardens is an option, just for a little more screening.
Yeah. Diversity, because you only have 5
but with the resiliency, you want to be bringing stuff back, and that's where
Emerald
Life Swarm is great. With being a 1-drop, I would love to be set up and give away the turn in different situations, and but having Bellator is such a great tool against that too, because it's
the double turn.
It almost scares you into taking first, right?
Correct. Yeah, and with Nurgle, you just pin. If you go 1-drop, you just pin your opponent in the deployment zone. That's what we're seeing. That's how a lot of people are having success nowadays, where the flies are just so fast. The pregame move 16 inches, and with you being only 22 apart, again, 6-inch charge, pin your opponent in deployment zone. Whatever tool your opponent has to try to fight outside of the deployment zone, you use Belcor on that unit, and then on the double turn, they still can't, potentially can't use that hammer to pick off
the one thing they need to pull themselves out is lockdown.
Correct. And then you again, I scored relatively well near the end of the game, but much of my advantage was in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, you were 2 points ahead each round.
Yeah. So that's the kind of the advantage.
We saw it here. That's the game Nurgle wants to play, right? They just grind it out, keep throwing bodies and waves, and wear the opponent down, and we definitely saw that. My poor shiny elves.
Now, the interesting thing, a lot of the meta lists and the lists people are playing have just flies. Bellator is kind of popular. I semi-like the Blight Kings because they have more output. They have 20 attacks at -1 rend instead of 10, and then 12 without rend, and then the relentless attackers, because I'm seeing a shift in the amount of bodies that people are taking. People aren't taking those big hero monsters as often anymore, and like big models in general. Everything's 1 wound. Night Haunts all 1 wound. Daughters of Cain is going to be very popular as 1 wound. The Snakes are 2 wounds. That's 3 up mortal wounds on them. Yeah, like on 5 dice instead of 2 dice is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. So. And I like them as well, especially with Nurgle. Like, you're often playing it, like we said, in waves and having them mid board. They can still get in places, or they're a good backfield objective holder, right?
Wiggling forward and then wiggling backwards.
So they did their job. 4 to 5 turns. And tough one here for Lumineth. Disappointed for the elves, but can't win them all. Otherwise, again, Mortal Wounds was tough to push through, and I think, that's what Lumineth relies on, right? The ward saves is always big, always tough, but I think that's pretty much it. Wraps things up. Good recap of the game. Again, great game here, actually, very close. Like, not probably a good advantage on the scoreboard, but in terms of attrition, was good fight back and forth.
There was key moments that could have just shifted the game just one way or the other.
Sure.
It wasn't like I wasn't comfortable the whole game, which is saying something. For sure. In terms of how this game went.
Definitely. Well, I think with that we can wrap things up. Say a big thank you to everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed this battle report, and we'll see you